What is up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Esparza, coming to you with another installment of the Bullpen, the official. Wait, can I say that? Uh-oh. I gotta think about this. Like, I feel like we're the official one. Others can say they're the official one, but we're the real Coke. No, that doesn't sound right either. So I guess what I'm telling you is it's a PGF preview show. There's a lot of them. I see many of them go up. I know a lot of them have similar topics, but they don't have our board. Take that, other PGF preview shows. Haha. Also, we love them too. They're very nice, but like ours is clearly like, you know what I mean? Like us and like everybody else, like them, like, but us. Yeah, you know, they're okay. They get up here. But anyway, not enough. That's not what we're here for. My name is Rafa Esparza. I am your master of ceremonies here, and I'm happy to bring you to the show. We'll get to our co-hosts in a second, but first, merch. Look at this. This is a t-shirt. You guys should get one. If you guys like these, go on over to rafasparza.com/merch. Get yourself a t-shirt or a hoodie. Both of them on sale over there. We're always happy to take care of you guys. You can get the t-shirts, $25. Hoodies are $45, and a combo of the two at $60. You can also support us by going on over to patreon.com/grappling hour. If you go there, you will support the show. You will see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And when I tell you this, there's an interview with Mike John where he talks a little bit about the PGF and a lot of other stuff. You could see that if you went to grapplinghour.com. And sure, you could see it after the 30 days. But if you go to patreon.com/grapplinghour, you see it early. You don't want to be like those losers. And for a few extra dollars, you can actually get some of our extra bonus content not available anywhere else, including tape studies with the athletes. Maybe we'll do some of those over at the PGF. You'll also see some very interesting segments where people roast my competition footage in a segment called Roast Raf, oddly very popular for whatever reason, and other extra minisodes. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you don't know what you want to comment on, we'll give you a comment by the end of this video. All right. We should also transition and get to our lively and lovely co-hosts right here. First and foremost, we'll say hi to a longtime friend of mine, one Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Raf? It's great to be here. I'm stoked to talk some more PGF. We're getting close, counting the days down. There's not many left, and we'll see each other in Las Vegas. I'm stoked.
You know what we don't have? We should have like a PGF advent calendar. I think that's the one thing that we really didn't do on the merchandising is, opening one up every day. And since it's 10th Planet themed, it's just a different strain of weed each day. So I don't know. I'm just
absolutely that would work for me.
One person here probably won't take that weed is our good friend, Jake Watson. Jake, how are you doing, sir?
Nary have done a weed, but excited for PGF.
Said like someone who definitely is the narc of the group. I get it, dude. There was no quicker way to be like,
no, I'm a cool kid. I'm a cool kid, and I, you guys, if you have one of those, then just pass one my way. You know, I'm about it.
I have to be honest with you, Jake. I also have never done a weed as well. But at the very least, I look the part. So, like, I know when I go to this 10th Planet themed thing, or I'm working with other 10th Planet tiers, if you would, that you kind of, like, a little better on the sly. Like, learn how to slide in there. So, there it is. Jiu-Jitsu Meme says Jake is a legend. So, good on that.
I don't know if he is using that word correctly, but thank you. That's I don't feel legendary, that's for sure.
Well, that's adorable of him to say, and we appreciate it. Hey, so we're here, your official PGF preview crew. Tim, you alluded to this. We're a week away, and like I got to tell you, I'm working behind the scenes on Subversive, and it is interesting. Like it is juggling a little bit on all areas here. I got Subversive this weekend, and then getting ready the following weekend to head on out to Vegas because it's going to start sooner than you think. So we're essentially at the 10-day mark or so from this going. You've seen other people do drafts, though. Do you feel that we have made the right choice in waiting to do ours for just a little bit longer?
I think so. In the beginning, I thought, you know what? Why don't we just do it right out of the gate? But, names jump in and names jump out. You also have the benefit of kind of seeing how everyone performed recently. So it makes sense to do it about 10 days out. You can kind of build on that heat. You're kind of like the last voice out there before the actual auction takes place. So, yeah, I think it was a great idea.
Beautiful. Jake, are you worried about having to do a draft? Because you seem like you have to keep your self the cleanest, since you're the most likely to commentate some of these people in different avenues.
I take it. I have to remember that I'm going to be subject to public scrutiny no matter what I do. And so I have to be ready for people to disagree with anything I say, even if I'm right. Even if I do the most optimal draft possible, people are still going to be like, Jake Watson's an idiot for not choosing so-and-so. So I don't know. I'm not that nervous. I'm more excited to be a part of it because I think it's going to be very fun to do with it's going to be very fun to do, especially with some of my esteemed co-hosts. So I'm not really nervous. I think it's going to be a fun time.
See, on the other hand, I have a book full of jokes. So I don't mind if they have words for me. I just have a joke for every single person here. I just have like a card catalog full of like, oh, this person's guard is as bad as, you know what I mean? So I keep records on everybody. I'm essentially the Batman of every group I'm in. You know what I mean? Like no superpowers, but like got all the resources and vaguely jujitsu rich because I have a job. So
you got the steel dossier for jiu-jitsu in your hands there.
God, I wish I did. That would be so great. If that wasn't just a book full of recipes, that would actually be a much better bit. But I guess that's what it is. So those of you tuning in, yes, it is your PGF pre-show and post-show hosts. And I believe now is as good a time as any to go directly to the board. So let's go to our first topic here. And the first one is a big one. It's fairly notable. And it's this. Over the weekend, there was some disruptions, and there are things that maybe we here at the show actually predicted when we said, what is it going to be like with new hosts? We proposed it, and now it's time to figure out what do these new hosts or what do these new coaches mean to the flow of the PGF? And we'll go ahead and start with you, Tim.
Well, I think that a coaching change before the season starts obviously has less impact than when the season starts. Obviously, there were some rumors going around, and over the weekend, we were, notified that 2 new names are in: Jean-Jacques Machado, Dean Lister. Pretty big names. You're talking about guys that are both ADCC champions. They have an epic 2005 super fight against each other. They're both competitive. They're both innovative. I see those guys coming in and trying to shake things up, especially after the first day or so when they get a feel for how the competition works and they actually get to lay eyes on it in person. I could see both of those coaches coming with some pretty sound feedback for their athletes. So overall, I think it's a good thing. I did want to see Eddie. I did want to see Andre, but these guys are worthy replacements.
Tim, did we know if Eddie's transitioning to another role? Because there was something put on our marker. Is he just bowing out entirely?
I think he's accepted the position as head chef. He's going to be the head chocolate maker for the Advent calendar that's going to be coming out for PGF season 7. So, no, I think he's going to be reffing. I think he's sliding over to the referee role. So, obviously, he's a great choice to do that. Couldn't pick between his 10P guys. Said it'd be too hard to coach against them, which I understand. So, he decided to make the switch. Honorable move. Honorable move.
Absolutely. Let's go over to Jake. Jake, what are your thoughts about the new coaching dynamics, and is there something that we're overlooking here?
I don't know that we're overlooking anything. I think Tim nailed it on the head when the new perspectives are definitely going to add a sort of an interesting variable to the competition. I think Dean Lister certainly brings an interesting flair and an interesting history. You know what I mean? We're talking about 3 ADCC legends here, like you said, Tim, and Dean Lister being one of them, even way far back in the early days. So, whereas I was excited to see Andre Galvão in there, and I was excited to see Eddie Bravo, because I think Eddie Bravo, there's few personalities in jiu-jitsu more prolific and more entertaining than Eddie Bravo, right? But seeing him step into the role of referee, it's cool too. I don't know much about like the difference personality or perspective wise of Jean-Jacques Machado versus Higa Machado. You guys might know a little more than me, but overall, I think that it's still an absolutely fantastic lineup of coaches. Hodger Gracie survived the entire PGF cycle. He was the only one that stayed in from the beginning. So maybe he'll have a sort of a chip on his shoulder. Who knows?
Maybe we should let him go first. Maybe that's what he should get as his result. You know, like your reward for being the one coach that is remaining from all the way through. You get the first pick, Senor Hodger. So hold on. This seems unnecessary, Elijah, and I don't know why
look at this guy.
Cut a promo on one of our pre-show panelists. I don't know that I stand for it, but I do find it hilarious, so I will tolerate it. And it says, Tim's a loser. Why is this guy even a part of this? Tim,
listen up, buddy. Listen, man, I ranked you number 1 in the Inside BJJ preseason rankings, and I did that despite my reservations about you. Your choice in haircut, your choice in clothing, your choice in career. I did it anyway because I felt like this guy is the PGF champ. He's coming into it. He's got to be ranked number 1. I am a little put off by the flack I'm catching from you, man, that you'd come live on the show and call me a loser. That's not nice, but it's not that unexpected, especially from a guy like you, Elijah Carlton. So I'm going to take that as a compliment and move forward.
Can't emphasize this enough. There will be no matches with any of us. So, like, there's not really a match we're angling for here. There's nobody interested in getting any kind of matches with anybody here. However, wow, I didn't know this. Hold on, this did change things. And it says he left me on red when I asked about coming to 10P Nashville. Now, the coherent thing would be to ask Tim to respond to that, but I'm going to actually ask Jake to respond to that particular little note that we got. Jake, what's your response to that message?
To Elijah Carlton calling Tim a loser, or Tim,
specifically
Elijah asking the very polite thing, which is,
yes.
Can you come to 10th Planet Nashville? Well, Elijah, I get it, man. I've been left on red before. It's not fun. It really does feel like you're just talking to a wall and that there's anybody more important than you. So I understand if your feelings are a little hurt. You don't strike me as a super emotional person, but I'm just going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. Tim is an old man, and using this like smartphone stuff to answer phones and text messages, you should have called the guy. That's really what you should have done, because he won't answer a text message. The guy messaged me and I was blown away. So I don't know. It's on you still a little bit for not knowing the generational gap.
Wow. Typical gaslighting youth right here. Just blaming
I
the
did
victim.
leave him on red. To be fair, I did do that.
I'm sure you did. But you know what? You left him on red, but that's still not a good enough reason to give him the Joker origin story. Like, just sit there and be like, you know what? I was the way I was until I wasn't. I got left on red, and now I gotta sing with Lady Gaga down a pair of stairs. Like, okay, sounds good, man. Real prestige film that we got coming over here. So maybe we'll get to the bottom of this when we all get together. But I do want to point this out. Yes, Jake, you are right. This is the only man left standing from the original group. I do have to say, there is an intriguing aspect when you do, as you mentioned, Tim, have people who are familiar with each other and have faced each other in a very, very prominent setting. But then you got 50% Machado here. So like 10 people going straight into a Machado camp. And that'll be very interesting. And what I love hearing, and people may not know this, is the teams actually have the opportunity to go ahead and train hours before they go to compete. So there is kind of a regimented team training sort of scenario that they are going to have. So I do wonder what that's going to be like. And you know what? I haven't even asked this, but I will ponder it out loud so that somebody hearing it, more important than us, can figure it out. Are we supposed to go to that? Because if you think about it, there's 4 teams and we could divide it up almost evenly. So
I would love that.
We could infiltrate.
Well, no. We're not competing against them. There's no infiltrate.
I know. Well, that's
you can
for
go
me,
investigate, young man. That's how I have to teach you how to be a news guy. And be like, we can go infiltrate them. Like,
I appreciate you teaching me that.
Just you know what I mean? Just simple semantics here. All right, let's go to our next topic here, everybody. We lost viewers based off of that. I want to point that out. All right, we're going to our next one, and it is this. It says conflict. Hold on. And it says, if anybody else drops out, we're just going to make it all Machado brothers. That's, you know what? That's the real solution. You guys should do that. It just becomes a Thanksgiving feast. All right, conflict. So we did talk about the idea that Eddie bowed out two of his top guys. You don't want to make him pick. You don't want to make those 10th planet Christmas parties any weirder than it could possibly be. But I wonder to the group, are there any other conflicts of interest that could arise here? And I'm going to start with you, Jake Watson. You have the floor.
Well, Eddie Bravo, like we had said, we commend him for kind of doing the right thing and avoiding conflicts of interest. Here's where I think conflicts of interest could arise. Going back to the initial point, Elijah Carlton really opened a can of worms here. How many other athletes have tried to reach out to Tim Freeman? And is Tim Freeman's position on the pre-show and post-show going to be compromised because of how little the athletes are going to like him by the end of the process? I'm not really sure if he is in a position to make more mistakes like that. So I think that if Tim is able to sort of wrap up the ability to communicate, then no other conflicts of interest could arise. But on a more serious note, obviously there's, different people for different teams. I don't think anybody's trained with the Machado brothers, but or even Hodger Gracie. But I guess Hodger Gracie does have Kaiwan Gracie, and that's somebody that's coming with Hodger. So that is like the same thing as Eddie Bravo, though. So I think that's kind of a similar situation. But I couldn't see anything really beyond that.
Tim.
I have no conflicts. I am a grappler of the people. I get along well with everybody. This Elijah Carlton thing is just an anomaly. I'm sure we're going to be able to sort this out in short order. Won't be a big deal. I'm a little bit put back that Jake came after me because I was going to come after him in my pick. But my plan is to get Jake to say something real bad and get him in a bunch of trouble. I just don't know what it is and where I'm going to do it or exactly how I'm going to do it. Outside of that, I don't really see that much conflict in terms of like the way these teams are positioned, in terms of the way, the management is positioned. I think it's set up pretty well to move forward. Of course, there might be some rivalries. The Machados are probably competitive. That's what I would guess. Just the mean mugging that they do in their tutorials, they look like they're getting after it. So there might be some heat between the two brothers, but outside of that, I don't see much.
Well, I have one. And I don't know that we've thought about this, so I'll go ahead and put this on full screen for me. This is tough because I come to you guys as your host. I'm the anchor of this whole little program that we do here. So I think it's very important that I am always upfront and honest with you. I'm under the Jean-Jacques Machado lineage. So what am I supposed to report here? Now I'm thinking about this. Am I supposed to bow out? Because I'm not. The check is already cleared. I'm supposed to do the work here. It's very confusing. So there's not going to be I can't do jokes on him. And I like him too much. I don't do jokes on Jean-Jacques. So now we're going to get into this weird phase where I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I didn't know he was going to be a part of this until I saw the poster, which begs the question, who is going to take my Jean-Jacques Machado jokes?
Tim.
Oh, I'll take him.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, bring it. Throw him my way. Let's go, baby.
Because it is always wild to me that every time we run into each other, if I see Jean-Jacques and it's at an event or whatever, he comes out of his way to say hi to me. And I'm always like, no, I'm supposed to go to you. That's not how this works, sir. I'm supposed to come over. But he's so gracious and so nice that I was surprised in one way, but not surprised that he would be one of the coaches. So I'm very stoked to see him representing here because I've had the benefit of seeing how he coaches. And I wonder what kind of influence that could be on a number of these students. If you ever hear Brandon or any of these talk about, people talk about the way that Jean-Jacques has this presence or this power when he teaches, there's a reason people come to visit him and do his thing. So I'm intrigued to see how that plays an influence, especially on some of these hooligans who are some goofballs. And I'd like to see what Jean-Jacques Machado might have to say, a Jamie Carnell. So that could be a very interesting back and forth. And I don't know if people are really considering that. But I digress. Time to move on, gentlemen. The next question I have for this panel is as follows. When the shit did Kevin Sherrill come from? Like, where is this happening? And honestly, there's no placard for him. It's just, hey, and somebody drafted him last week. And I said, wait, he's on this thing? So I guess I'll ask you, Tim, where did handsome Kevin come from?
I think, and I don't want to talk out of turn, loose lips sink ships. We know that, but I think he is stepping in for Gracie. I think that he's a replacement for Quan Gracie. And so, you know, he is the most handsome. Apparently he's won some kind of titles around that. And so he's made the call. He's been called in. He's a PGF veteran. He's been around, and, you know, he's going to bring some heat. He seems like a likable guy. He seems like he likes the camera. He likes to talk. He likes to do his hair. He likes to look good. So, you know, I think that's good for the PGF. It's unfortunate that we lost to Gracie on the roster, because I think there's always attention on the last name Gracie when they're competing, even if it's not the real Gracies. You know what I mean? There's still always big eyeballs coming on them. So, yeah, you know, I think that's where Kevin came from. I think they slipped him in, and now we have to deal with him. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes down between him and PJ Barch. I'm sure PJ Barch is probably looking in the mirror right now like, I'm the most handsome. So it'll be a nice little dust up between those two.
By the way, there's no funnier sentence than trying to communicate to the person I guess you're accusing of here, or trying to suggest here, of being like, well, you're not a real Gracie. Like, hearing someone try to say that to another person could get there. But yes, we do have word here from the PGF World official. Juan Gracie, his rotator cuff was torn. So just in case you guys were wondering exactly what happened there, those are the details that I would go ahead and press on to you. Jake, how familiar are you with handsome Kevin, and what do you expect from him in terms of his contributions here?
No, actually, and I know I'm allowed to do this because I had to speak for 3 minutes last freaking time, and Raph stepped in and saved me. But I want to give a minute to Tim Freeman and talk about that dichotomy between PJ Barch and Kevin, in terms of who's more handsome and what that means.
Let me see if I understand exactly what you're asking for here. You want to relinquish your time so that Tim can speak about the handsomeness of two of our PGF competitors.
I just want.
All right, I've heard enough.
Tim said he's going to get me to say
Tim,
something bad.
You've got 45.
Here we go. Listen, Kevin is a handsome enough guy. You know what I mean? Kevin's like the guy. He's the best looking guy in the office. He's not the best looking guy in town, but he's like, okay, he's a 7 for the office. You know what I mean? PJ, he's like a real looker. You know, he's a dude that's out in public that the women are like, wow, look at this guy. Kevin, not so much. Kevin's just like the guy 3 cubicles down who's better looking than Fred, who has been working here for 49 years, you know, and has warts all over his head. That's kind of where Kevin falls in terms of like the handsome scale. But PJ for sure naturally handsome. Kevin artificially needs a job handsome.
Wow.
So
okay.
That's kind of how that breaks down.
Ugh, okay.
I did not expect all that.
Let me see if I can figure out your full metaphor here. So you're trying to tell me that Kevin Sherrill is the guy that's maybe a couple cubicles over. Maybe you didn't notice him at the start of the rom-com.
Right.
But that
exactly.
PJ Barch is the boss that maybe you're trying to get with, and that maybe comes up to you and goes, oh, you like making copies? Yeah. And you get that little interaction and you think, oh man, we really had something there. But wait, Kevin came with me to meet my parents. What's going on? Am I falling? Like, is that the version of the movie in your head that you've come up with?
No, Kevin's just the guy that's a 7 for work. You know what I mean? Outside of work, he's not a 7. It's just because you work with a bunch of butter hogs. You know, so
is he a blue collar? Is he a blue collar 7 or a white collar 7?
That's hard to say. I'm not sure what kind of work he does. I'll have to get to know him. I'll give you guys an update midweek during the PGF. We'll bust it out there. We'll talk.
Point it out. Do you
I'm
understand?
Looking forward to it.
In the preview photo over there, that is a title that they gave to him. It is a handsome title. So you're not just speaking big talk, but like, I think it's the one thing he actually takes seriously. Like, I think more than even his record, this is the type of thing that gets Kevin Sherrill to look to you and go like, back off, man. this is not.
I'm gonna
This
cut
wasn't
you.
cool, bro.
If it says a lot
maybe
about the
so.
organization if a 7 at the office wins the handsome title. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Well, let's.
That's
We're
what
gonna-
I'm saying, Jake.
Like
Now
that's
you're
like the
getting what I'm putting
that's
down.
the that's the
to
UFC light heavyweight
move
division right
to
there.
the next topic. Okay, great. Next topic is who gets the first stalling call. And you know, Tim, you had so much to say there. It's just gonna keeping you on a roll is the right idea to do. Go.
I think the question is this. It's, does the commish come ready? Does he come with flag in hand? Because if he walks down Matt's side when the show's about to start and he's got that yellow flag in his hand, I guarantee he's going to throw it in the first 6 minutes. I guarantee it's going to leave his hand. The only question is it going to hit somebody in the face when it lands? For sure, that flag's going to get thrown. If it's in his pocket or if it's somewhere in a basket in the back because he forgot about it, we might go a day before we see that stall call. But I think it's going to probably come first match. Probably going to come from one of the heels, honestly. I would say an AJ or an Elijah Carlton probably going to get the stall call first just to heat things up. That would be who I would put my money on if I had bet in terms of like, hey, who's going to get called for the stall? The other stall call is going to go to which athlete blows the bathroom the worst right before when they have like the pre-tournament bubble guts and they go blow that stall up. That's going to have its own stall call as well. Just depends, but that's how I see that going down.
Well, okay. Just noted for everybody here. Stall, call, bathroom. And it says day one the tone will be set with the penalties. All right. So Kamish coming out very strong here, letting us know right from the get-go. Here it is. Jake, I'm going to give you time. Go ahead.
So I think, and we're just going based off of, in my head, statistically, the Atos style of no-gi typically is very reserved. It's very conservative. And, we've seen different athletes, although incredible, they do well across every rule set and they are dangerous. I think that Daniel Sadler, if I'm going to look at it from a statistical way, might get the first stalling call. Of course, Tim's also right, though. It really depends on who's out there first. And if Brandon McCatherine, the commish, decides to just freaking let that thing fly to really heat things up, that's on him. But if I was to answer the question in the way that I think it's leading me to, I would have to think, at least analytically, that it might be the Atos competitor, Daniel Sadler.
Great. Thank you for your observation there. All right. This one's tough because I have to look at the PGF as a whole. And when you do that, it gets difficult. You have to narrow it down and you start thinking, okay, maybe I should look at every single one of these athletes for what they contribute. And I think you guys gave some very, very, very interesting things here. But I guess the question that bugs me here is this. Are we just limiting this to stalling from the athletes? Because if we're including people here, I do wonder if Jake is actually going to be the person that's going to stall. And here's why. Do I get a stalling call? Do I get the ability to like throw a flag at him in person if he hasn't answered something? Now, granted, he answered something very well there. But the previous one, when I was like, talk about handsome Kevin, he was like, uh-oh, Tim. And I thought to myself, I was like, do I get, I want a blow dart of some sort. So we're going to have to work on something here.
I will say this: last week when I listed every single athlete's name, that was IBJJF with the gi on, man. I was just stalling as hard as I could. I was like, I don't know what to do. They have outmatched me. I'm gonna throw a lapel guard and a lasso, and I'm just gonna wait. And then you called me on it right away. You were like, wait a minute, I know exactly what you're doing. And my face was really red.
You know what it was? I'm quite adept at understanding politics in this region where I'm like, this person is just filibustering this question. How dare he? You're ruining the integrity of the sport here that we have here, sir. And I see Alex Hall. PGF is who is handsome and doesn't stall contest. That's how we sold it. That's how we sold it to the UFC Fight Pass. That was precisely their criteria. They're like, what do you got that everybody else doesn't? It's like handsomeness and not stalling.
Those are the two best ones.
That's literally what we bring you. And a dog and pony show that is us. All right, gents, we're going to continue going on here. Now, this was a huge weekend to some of us. Not everybody. Not everybody here celebrates. But this was a question that Tim actually put to us. Jake, you're going to answer it first, so we will try to help you out here. But I should let you know you did defer one of your times already. So I hope that you came equipped for this one. But it says, which pro wrestler would wreck shop in the PGF? So time is going to start with you, sir.
I have two, all right? Because if these pro wrestlers are going to come into the PGF, I'm not focused on weight class. I know that these guys got to come in at around 77 kilograms, all right? But I got two options, the Great Khali or the Big Show, all right? These guys come in at exactly their weight, exactly their size. And if there's anything I know, these guys would be prime candidates for the 177 kilogram division. But can you imagine AJ Agazarm versus the Big Show? I think the Big Show would absolutely crush him. And I mean that in both versions of the term. He would just run right there on that being, that's a joke. I think AJ Agazarm probably beat the Big Show. But I like those two options. I know a little bit about pro wrestling, Raph. I know that I'm not into WrestleMania as much as you are, but I know, and I have the next question too. I came prepared today. I really did. But I think that those are my two options. I think that they're so gargantuan as human beings that it would be very, very difficult to fight against them. Their cardio is probably not the best though. So that's a weakness.
What I would say is, at the very least, the visual of Andy Varela trying to like flying attack the Big Show has entertained me for a very long amount of time when he just swats him away and is like, no. So, Tim, what do you have for us on this one?
I never thought about, the Giant coming in and doing that, but I guess we could do like an old school match where they have 2 versus 1. We could have like AJ and Varela go against the Big Show or something like that. That might be kind of cool. I got a couple names. One is, I would absolutely love to see Al Snow and Head march down to the mat, get on the mat, and I'd like to see him hold that head and actually grapple and win a match that way. I think that would be freaking hilarious. I think it'd be great. Get a lot of eyeballs. I know it would go viral. The other thing that I've always just personally thought would be great is to see The Undertaker get choked out and then just do that thing where he just sits back up again. And it's doom. And it's like, nope, you got to fight him again. Can't be beat. So those are my 2 picks, Raph.
Very good. And I want to point this out because everybody here probably just assumes I picked these. I did not. This was not my topic. This topic and the next topic, surprisingly not mine. Now, will I entertain it? Absolutely. Let me give you guys a few little suggestions here as the resident pro wrestling expert, especially of all things WWE, BJJ. Here's what I'm saying. Why would you ever overlook the possibility of an AJ Styles being included? He's one of the GOATs. And think about this. AJ Styles, PJ Barch. I think it writes itself. You could also bring in Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, depending on what it is you like better, versus Elijah Carlton. He's already worked with a major heel in MJF. You could also go with Renato Canuto versus Ricochet. And if you haven't seen Ricochet's work, look at how much he bounces around and say, what would he do with somebody who's just as game as that? So those are some ones that I would come up with off the top of my head if I was a matchmaker. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think those are strong candidates. They really are. And these were my ideas. I knew if I put anything WWE related, it was getting on the board. I absolutely knew it.
To be fair, I figured those would be the ones that would trend better. So I looked around and I was like, listen, if The Rock got 1.3 billion viewing minutes, we could use, 40 of them. So yeah, just saying, guys, that man's presence changed the game for Peacock, which is a streaming only viewing experience. Maybe something that we could do here and benefit from. So if we can include The Rock, if we can go back a couple weeks and answer that question, it's like, what celebrity do we want there? I want The Rock. Let him raise our viewing rates by 200, 300% like he was doing this past week, because them numbers be good. And I was looking at them and I just thought, good Lord, good work.
Yeah.
That leads us to our next question. And that question or that prompt is, and I see this is the one that I thought was ridiculous, which is, which wrestling finisher would you like to see in the PGF? So Tim, you're going to start us off on this one.
I got 2 that I want to see. You know, and I'm sure I know as soon as I say these that you guys are going to come up with some cool ones, and I'm going to be like, dang, man, I wish I would have thought of those, because there's a lot of neat WWE, you know, NWO, WCW, you name it, NWA, AWA, all that stuff. There's a bunch of neat stuff that I'd like to see in there. One is Mankind's mandible claw. I would love to see somebody just shove their hand right down somebody's throat. You know, the smother's one thing, the muffler's one thing. Okay, yeah, you're tough. You know, mother's milk. Okay, Craig Jones, I want to see you put your hand down dude's throat. I want to see someone get choked like that. I think that would be fantastic to watch. And the other thing is a little less known, but it is pretty popular. And this was made popular by Ophidian. He would hypnotize his opponents, and he'd get everyone in the locker room hypnotized. They'd all come out, walk around the ring. He'd have them in a trance. You know, I think that would be cool to see. We can get the announcers down there. We get the commish down there. We have the Machado brothers turning in circles. Get the whole place hypnotized. That would be great. Great when you talk about going viral. Get the Rock down there. He could hypnotize everyone. So.
Tim's trying to get everybody hypnotized like it's a 5-year-old birthday party over here.
Come on, guys.
Jake, what do you have for us?
I think my top two. One, in honor of Mr. Dwayne Johnson, is the rock bottom. That is a simple, classic move. It's brutal. I think in the PGF rule set, if we saw somebody free, like, can you imagine Andy Varela rock bottoming somebody? That'd be insanely hype. And it's a little overplayed, maybe. A lot of people do it. It became a meme, and a lot of these kids in my kids' class do this all the time. But an RKO, of course, I think would also look pretty neat. I don't know a lot of setups that you could do on either of those techniques, but nonetheless, I would like to see a rock bottom or an RKO in the PGF.
Legitimately, the rock bottom is a major possibility if you really think about it. Like, it is something that's a duck under away from happening here. So there's always that. I would tell you guys this. All right, let me answer this fully for you guys. I guess the first thing that I should respond to is, look at that. That should be in it. You know how I know that should be in it? I taught Renato Canuto how to do it. I literally was in the middle of a class. I showed him at the end. We had like a training session, and him and Mikey and a few other people who randomly just wanted to see the move that I was teaching just to a friend. They're like, yo, show me that again. So I know he knows it. And both of them were asking for the technical details. And I thought, this is weird. I have nothing to offer these people, but apparently this translates. And I did warn him. I was like, this would probably really hurt somebody given how fast you are. And the other one is this. If somebody gets you in a buggy choke, the right answer has to be tombstone, pile drive the hell out of them. Like, that's their penance for doing that dumb move to you. So those are your answers here, baby.
Yeah. Agreed. Even though I think it's illegal to slam, I think it is okay to slam if someone has you in a buggy choke.
I'm just saying, do it for the gram. Like, you may not make it to the next day of competition, but at the very least, we will replay it on our show every single day. Like, that will make the opening credits of our show, bar none. If you do that, you will live on in infamy in that way. All right, gents, let's move to our next topic. And this is something that I think is important because next week we are actually doing a draft here on the show. But I wanted to give you both the opportunity to say your strategy, to say your best advice to the coaches as they prepare for their auction drafts that are coming up. And we're going to go ahead and start with you, Jake. What are your best suggestions for the coaches going into the draft?
Well, everybody's probably gunning for the opportunity to go first. And if they're going first, my advice is to go after the top dog first. And here's why. This is an incredibly stacked lineup. I think that a lot of the rankings have come out, and I mean, Egghead's made a ranking. There's the official PGF rankings. Tim, you made a power rankings. I said I was going to do it, and then I looked at the list, and I saw how hard it was going to be, and I said, I'm not doing that. But it's just really, really difficult. But I think that going after the top dogs right away, because what's the benefit, at least in my mind, what's the benefit of going after, let's say, and this is just the rankings, a mid-tier competitor? What is the benefit of that? Because then somebody else might get top-ranked Andy Varela or top-ranked PJ Barch. And then you're kind of at that disadvantage. You know what I mean? So I think that if I'm a coach on PGF, I'm going to make my case right off the bat, I'm looking for the number 1 seed, and then I'm looking for the next available seed after that. And I think that's what's really going to happen. That's my prediction. But I mean, shoot, each coach has their own philosophy.
All right, Tim, you are up now.
Well, I would say from having done a mock draft, it was actually kind of enlightening to realize at the end of our draft, all 4 of our fantasy coaches that were drafting had money left over. And so one of the things I realized was there's no reward for having fake money left over at the end of the draft. Like, spend that money. So pick a couple guys that you want and go after them pretty hard. Maybe have 2 or 3 backups that you'll accept, because chances are you'll get a chance for that. But there will be rounds where there will be players up that you might not have an interest in. And then there might be rounds where there's players where none of the coaches have an interest in, and you won't have to pay that much. It's better to spend big for the big names, just like Jake said, get 1 or 2 of those guys, and then let the rest of the roster kind of shake itself out. That was the experience that we had. You definitely don't want to go into the end of it with money in the bank still. Spend that money.
A sound and reasonable request. All right, here's what I'm going to say. I understand it's very difficult to have these scenarios, but if I can offer one thing from many years of playing fantasy sports, you have to do a mock draft. I don't care how long you have been around this game. You have to be prepared for this, because you have to look at it like this. Somebody you want on your team is probably going to end up going away. And I think you need to be prepared to make a decision in just a heartbeat to be able to say, oh, I didn't get this person. I really want this person. And you need to know that name as soon as possible. The only way you get there, same way Carnegie Hall, practice. That's what you got to do. So make sure you get those rounds in. Invite 3 other people to do it. If you're a coach, talk to them right now, get your students, and then in your back pocket, have something to bribe the other coaches with. Just saying. Bribes don't work until they do.
Yeah, that's sound advice. Win if you can, lose if you must. Always cheat.
Listen, I haven't heard anything about trades, and it's something that I think differentiates us as a league from most other leagues. And it begs the question, why couldn't a trade happen? So as a result of that, I may not know as much. And Egghead, you aren't here. You apologized last week for not being here with us, and not good enough because I don't see you in the comment section. Me even uttering the phrase trade should have already triggered the Eggbot chatbot option in our comments, but I haven't seen it yet. So I just want to say, I think if you do have that, nope, trades are legal. So that comes from PGF World. I guess the question is, why aren't we seeing more of them? And if that's the case, then maybe, and it says first trade went down last season. Now, here's my qualifying question. Did the trades have to happen at the draft, or can they happen throughout the season? Because in most fantasy leagues, you can have trades up to a certain deadline. I assume that's been named. I just don't know what that means. So PGF World, if you can give us some clarification on that, because I learned some very fascinating rules while also figuring out that, I guess in the playoff scenario, if you get a certain amount of demerits or negative calls, you do defer 2 points to your opponent. And I thought that's fascinating. So that's actually a very cool thing if you get that many stalling calls or that many kind of like yellow cards, if you would. And it says, so pumped for Shark Week. Well, okay.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Cool. Me too, man.
Alex
By
Hall.
Shark, you mean PGF Season 6. Yeah, we're on board. Let's go.
Yep. Can't emphasize that enough. PGF, where the comment section will make you go, wait, what? Okay. Let's go ahead and kill that one. We'll get more qualifying information as we go. And here we get to the very last question or prompt for you guys. And just to let you know, the very end is you guys can ask us anything if you're in the comment section. But for right now, the very last one that we have put for ourselves is start one false rumor about one PG athlete or person. Let's go on over to you, young Jake Watson.
So, I don't know if you guys know this. This person is, I mean, he's known for saying some pretty wacky stuff. You know, he's already in the community. He's he's a very pervasive personality, right? He's fought MMA. He's been involved. I mean, he's a Gracie Baja black belt, has traveled the world. He's been banned from competitions sometimes. But did you know that AJ Agazarm doesn't believe birds are real? He actually believes that birds are drones that the government uses to spy on us. And here's his whole thing. His whole thing is it's a collaborative effort with China so that they can spy on us and learn more about us. And AJ has gone on, and he hasn't really gone on record. This is something that's just kind of known between people who know him, but he doesn't believe that birds are real. And he claims to have a whole bunch of information. Hector Lombard's in on it too. I don't know. All I know is that's what I heard, and you guys can do with that what you will. But yeah, he doesn't believe that birds are real.
Could be real. Could be an actual one. Honestly, that's skirting the line there. Tim, we go to you now.
I think I might have heard that one. Listen, Jet Thompson's lying about his age. Okay. We got to put this out there. He's 39-year-old, unemployed journeyman plumber from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. He's doing PGF because he's like looking down the wrong side of a $25,000 child support back pay from his second wife. He's got like serious things. He chain smokes Viceroy cigarettes. He wears makeup to cover up his facial tattoos. Like, he's a hardened little dude, faking like he's 17 when he's really 39, and he's coming in here to wreck shop for a multitude of reasons that are only known to him. Most of those reasons being court ordered in one form or another. So yeah, you heard it from here first. Jet Thompson lying about his age.
I'm going to go ahead and defer my time back on over to Tim Freeman.
Okay. Am I still talking about Jet?
You know what? You can pick your own destiny here. I would never do anything that harmful to you like that.
Well, listen, I've heard a lot of things about Jet, and I'm just going to share them right now. I heard that he doesn't actually train jiu-jitsu very much. He mostly watches it. I heard that he doesn't stick to his diet. You know, he tells people he's on the Gracie diet. He's always miscombining foods. I've seen him miscombine all kinds of foods. I've seen him eat Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut, Tostitos, Cheetos, all that kind of snack stuff, basically keeping Frito-Lay in business. He's not following any of the John Danaher DVDs. He doesn't follow any of that. He doesn't subscribe to Gordon Ryan. He's just really coming out here to try to make a statement to get that $25K back so he can cover his debts and move forward. So watch out for him.
Fair enough. I'll share with you the one that I had written down because I figured I should have an answer. I had a couple actually, but I'll read you the first one. My first answer was going to be that Cam Hurd is actually a clone. Most people didn't know that. It's straight out of a Jean-Claude Van Damme film. Like, he doesn't know he's the clone. That's the rough part of this whole scenario. So he's going to be acting like he's the real Cam. But those of us who know, we know better. I was also going to say that John Combs is actually a forest ranger. He had completed the training. He had gone through it all for years. And that most people really, they don't know that about him. So he has famously fought a giant bear and his little buddy named Boo Boo. So there was that. And I guess the last one I have for you guys, and I thought this was probably the most damaging of all. I like the idea that AJ Agazarm doesn't think that birds are real, which gets scary. It gets to that point. But I would say the one that does maybe give you a little bit more pause is the fact that Kevin Beering has his own true crime podcast that he doesn't tell anybody about, but it does like huge numbers. And he basically just recounts how people have died. But he tells a lot of stories about how he's killed people in jiu-jitsu and nobody has figured him out yet. So just saying, it's like a real interesting little nuggets about our guys here.
But that would contradict Kevin Beering's Amish upbringing. That's what I heard, is that he's Amish.
Upbringing, yes. That is the one thing. We should note here that PGF World said clipped. So One of you yahoos is getting clipped on this one. And let's go back to
Oh,
Alex
no.
Hall, who did say BMAC called the PGF Shark Week of Jiu-Jitsu. That's true in the past. I don't know that he will be referring to it as the Shark Week of Jiu-Jitsu going into this classier version. But I don't know. It's sort of like when talk show hosts go from the 12:35 slot to the 11:35 slot. You kind of go through like, I gotta adult this thing up. We'll see. Okay, we will see. But for any of you who have any final questions for us, very much let us know. I guess I should say this, gents. Next week when we come back, there's going to be a slight change to how we do things because we're apparently doing a draft ourselves. And if that is the case, I guess make the case here why your team is going to be the best. I'll start with you, Jake Watson.
My team will be the best quite simply because, well, if we're comparing between me and you, Raph, I honestly have really a lot of competition, I think. Tim, I'm not going to be disrespectful to you. Yes, I think that my brain probably works a little bit of a faster rate and everything like that. But I think that my experience being around these competitors and seeing them on a regular basis, the commentary that I provide, and the way that I've had to study their game, I'm going to know a little bit. I think that I'm going to be able to put together some pretty good picks. I'll be thinking about matchups and stuff like that as well. But I am nervous, Raph, because I feel like you have so many things to say just floating in your head like a freaking cauldron of insults that I don't know what to say.
I just want to make sure that I heard something right. You figured that you're going to have a great team through osmosis, like, or proximity to these people. Like you're going to absorb their energy and you're going to be like,
no,
I know how good you are.
No, the time that I have spent studying them, I'm going to know the best picks.
I'm going to have you re-listen to the first part of your answer.
Well,
there.
I might have said it not exactly the best. Perhaps I didn't say it right, but that's what and I really doesn't bode well for my brain comment because then my brain's not working.
It's all right. Just got to do a few more puzzles. Crosswords
Tim has
very much help
this whole time.
Tim, what do you have to say in response to that?
Listen, there's a high chance you watch more jiu-jitsu than me. There is a very high chance that you're around these guys more than me. There is a way lower chance that you live your life like the famous Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. I have done this auction before. I know what I'm getting into. I am a brilliant strategist. I am a master of psychology. I am a very, very, very worthy foe, Jake. You better watch out because I might just come and get both you at the draft. Gonna do it.
I'm the newcomer, dude. I have nothing going for me here. I have like Raph and Brandon probably looked at each other like, well,
what it is not here, so. You're the inverted version of Gil from The Simpsons. Like, oh man, this is a rough one. Gil really needs this one. I really need this sale. Like, you're not old enough to be that guy, but I do get the idea of this. Gentlemen, can I just say this between the both of you? I think you're both very well versed at knowing things. I think that you have familiarity with so many different departments and facets of jiu-jitsu, and both of you are black belts at incredible knowledge and acumen. I think you forget one thing, though. I may not be a black belt at jiu-jitsu, but I am a black belt at knowing how to program this GD show. And if I don't like the way you've picked, this whole thing's coming down. I will literally stop the draft by my ability to mechanize this whole thing. And I will weaponize this show to be like, nope, sorry, Jake, for whatever reason, it's not letting you pick right now. But, I did make a mention that Andy Varela is now on my team for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I'm just saying, come in with low expectations. And I don't think you're actually going to be all that disappointed. I think you'll do a great job fighting for second place. Now, I do have a comment here, and this is from PGF World. It says, what do you guys think about the official preseason rankings? Well, considering that there's been 9 of them, I need a second for a refresher here, and let me see if I've been sent them. I believe I have because I've gotten 500 placards, but let me go ahead and double check if I have anyone in particular. I'll start on over with you. Oh, nope, I did get one. Look at that. And you know what? I did get one in such a way, maybe I can even throw it onto the show. Let's see. But I'll start over with you, Tim. Tim, what are your thoughts of the official preseason rankings?
The official preseason rankings. Are we talking about the ones that came out first from PGF?
No, he's talking about the new ones. And you know what? Here's the thing. When they send me all this stuff, I didn't recognize that this was actually going to be a test. So as you can see me on my phone right now, I'm taking the few seconds I need to send this to myself so that I can insert it. And hold on. Talking to... Move, you dumb bitch. Airdrop faster. Just saying, this really, like, I hate when people ask me a question where I'm like, I could probably make this work, but it's going to take me a second here. So let's go. No, we're not doing that one again. We already did that. Let me see. Oh, it received a photo. Okay, great. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back on over to the main board. We don't have to do that. All right. Look at how seamlessly I will integrate this in here in just 2 seconds.
Okay, let's go.
Here. Boom.
There we go. With the highlight and everything.
So, I mean, look, Carnal doesn't surprise me. Probably the bottom 5 are pretty much, kind of were around that area. I had Cam Hurt a little lower. I had Mike John a little higher, had him in the top 10. I did not have Davis Asari ranked as high. And I know it ruffles feathers and I know it irritates people, but I just don't see any way that you justify having Carlton number 4 when he is the season 5 champion. He's the most dominant PGF athlete to date. We're talking about PGF, like, I don't mean to sound like Allen Iverson, but we're talking about PGF right now. We're not talking about anything else. Like, he's got to be number 1. Any ranking where he's not number 1 doesn't make sense to me. So
Jake.
I'll just leave it at that.
I'm going to extend an olive branch to Tim here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did you say Jake?
Yeah, I was going to say you can talk now, but I was going to throw up the rankings so that you could look at them again. But go ahead and extend your olive branch.
No, please. No, I need the rankings up so that I can extend it.
Wait, what is that going to do with anything with the olive branch? Do the olive branch first, then I'll put up the rankings.
I just think that Elijah Carlton should be ranked higher, but I'm going to include a caveat, and I need the rankings to be up there so I can do that.
God, okay, fine. You need so much help here. God, of course.
You're the freaking arbiter. You're the one that has to, put up you're the mechanization, weaponization
not an
guy.
olive branch.
No. It's not Americanization, weaponization. That's not exactly what
I said mechanization and weaponization. I didn't say
I thought you said Americanization, weaponization. I was like, let's not get me into world geopolitics here, my friend. This is just me trying to run amok on the PGF rankings, not
I know.
any kind of world affairs. But let me bring this back for you, Jake. There you go.
Okay. I think Renato Canuto should not be ranked above Elijah Carlton. I think that Renato possibly shouldn't even be ranked above Max Hansen. And here's why. I get that Renato's great. I get that he is a gi world champion. I get that he has done amazing things, but he hasn't competed since 2022. He hasn't been active at all in 2024. He hasn't competed at all in 2023. Elijah Carlton is 2-time PGF champion. He's competed so much in the PGF. His ranking should be a little bit higher, but I do understand why PJ Barch and Andy Varela would be ranked in the positions that they're ranked. I could even argue that Andy Varela, just because he's been a little more active, should possibly even be ranked above PJ, but PJ is an ADCC veteran. PJ is he's done more in that space, and Andy just medaled at the West Coast trials, so I still can kind of see that, but I do think that Elijah Carlton should be ranked above Canuto, and I think that Canuto should be ranked a little bit lower, and that's no disrespect to any of the athletes. That's just how I feel.
It's good that you put that at the end. They might get some kind of way in their feels.
They were typing, and then they just backspace. Backspace is everywhere. Just
now that I think about it, there's no disrespect. He said no disrespect, so I will get rid of that disrespect in my brain I had, because that's how
I'm no longer offended.
You also backtracked on the AJ losing to the Big Show. You're like, oh no, AJ would beat the Big Show. Hold on, wait a second. I don't want to talk crazy.
I think that AJ's the kind of guy that might think that I actually think that. Like, he might think that I actually think that he would lose to the Big Show. And it's obviously satirical to us, right? But then some people were like there was a guy, Raph, who thought that Nate Diaz actually came on the Verbal Tapcast. There are people out there who don't, the joke just kind of
As far as I'm
It goes
concerned,
a
he
little
was
bit
really on
high.
the show,
About
so I
your,
don't know what you're talking about, bro. I book very well on my show. We have had
Yeah,
top tier
Nate Diaz.
stars: GSP, Nate Diaz, BJ Penn, just to name a
Chael
few.
Sonnen?
Honestly, my show was like so. But you know what it was? I created a template that I think I was able to funnel other people to. Like, that was one of the impressions I could lead other people to the promised land. And mine was just generic one where I had the right words, but not quite the like white guyness in my voice enough to be able to make that one work. Let me point this out. Part of the reason why I highlighted one of these names, and you'll see it here again in a second, but I think it'll make more sense once you see the photo. Kevin Sherrill just got entered in this and somehow is at 18 over Jamie Carnell. Like, Jamie is essentially put on this list to just be number 20. Every single list I have seen him in has been a hard number 20. Like, just imagine this, though. I get it. It's not to say that Kevin's bad. It's not even to say that Jamie's bad. It's just consistently funny to see, like, hey, bud, you didn't make it to the dance, but you know what? We really liked you, and we thought 18 was good for you. Here you go. So what I would want to point out is I've already spoken with Kevin because I said, well, congratulations, you're on the show. And I'm glad to say I can't for sure say that I had something to do with it. But I did recommend you on the show. Maybe you know that. And he's like, yeah, it sounds like what you said worked. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I have some power here. Maybe I should start calling things out. I'd like more money. That's number one. I'd like Jake to get less money. That's number two. I'd like Tim Freeman to have a wardrobe of hats available to him that he's able to switch out. Yes. Not just regular hats, but like jewel encrusted hats. And you get that from taking the money from Jake's salary. So see, I'm already off cutting because production guy up here. So let me get to this as we start to close things out. First and foremost, I think the pre-rankings are interesting, but if anything, the reason why they become interesting is that is going to be the order in which the auction draft goes. So Tim gave some great advice earlier about saying, don't leave money in your pocket. So when you do those mock drafts, like I suggested you do, I would highly recommend you keep in mind that, like, Jamie Carnell, save some money for him. It's not going to hurt you. Just give him some fake money so that he can make the real money. And
give him some fake money.
I mean, they put it on the thing. They're like, you have like 10,000 Brandon bucks, and you're going to be able to spend those as much as you need to get that team together. And I thought, we should really print the money with Brandon's face on it. But I digress. These things take a lot of effort and whatnot. All right, gents, as we circle here, I guess I should say the following. Next week we do the draft. However, our draft is going to be a little bit different, and here's why. We're actually going to do a snake draft. We don't have time or the budget or the considerations for any of those other versions of this, so we're just going to have to do our version. So yes, next week that'll take place. Time and date to be announced. I would assume it's normally this time, but I don't know for sure. We did get a question from a recent guest of the show, Ms. DeMonte, a ADCC trials winner, by the way. It says, Jamie is a dark horse, and I can't wait for him to show his skills. Thank you for putting some respect on his name. From one champ, hopefully to another, though I would say this. The odds are stacked against him, but what I like about Jamie is he put together a very funny video this week where he went off the mats. I thought that was great. And number dos, I would say, I don't know if you saw his matches, but that dude is willing to compete off the mats, which is sometimes a benefit here. So, but he has put up this week, and this is what I'm going to challenge everybody on this broadcast to do. Jamie actually referred to himself as a crackhead on his social media. And I don't know if he just reposted it, but it was a very funny joke that stuck out to me. And it made me start thinking of this. Maybe we need to do a better job of reporting on the individual nature of our competitors and what they post about themselves on their social media. So I will charge our team to be more on the lookout for stuff like that as we get closer. But yeah, we need to circle here. Jake, why don't you go ahead and plug your stuff so we can get you on out of here sooner than later, sir?
Well, guys, thank you for watching. I always love being a part of this. I look forward to Wednesdays. I think it's very, very fun. You can follow me at Jake Watson Media on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And that is where I post all my stuff. And you can catch me commentating a lot of the major events, including AIGA in Sao Paulo, Brazil in May. And I will also be at Who's Number 123 on Flow Grappling. So, as well as, of course, the pre-show of the PGF World.
Let us go on over to Tim Freeman. Tim.
Hey, you can check me out at Inside BJJ, all the socials, all the streaming places. Just look for Inside BJJ. We just had Cam Hurd on, talked about ADCC West Coast Trials with him and the upcoming PGF Season 6. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. I talk mad stuff, man, but, you know, I love everybody. I'm a man of the people. I love to train. I love jiu-jitsu. I love everybody. So if I hurt your feelings, you're going to have to get over it.
And rounding this out nicely, myself, I love most people. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have enough time to love everybody. But for the PGF, I got enough time to love 20 people. And you know who I love the most right now? You know who went up a shot on the Rafa Esparza preseason rankings? One Elijah Carlton. Because he just became a subscriber on the YouTube to us. Which begs the question, why didn't you subscribe when you were a guest on the show? Twice, Elijah. Where the hell have you been? You've been on my show.
Why he got left on red.
Yeah, that's why he got left on red. All right, Jake, it is 3:30 hard out for you. Get out of here, sir. We will see you next week. And
thank you.
Gents, I will go ahead and close this on out. My thanks to everybody who has been tuning in. Just to let you guys know, this weekend is Subversive. I'll be behind the scenes at that. If you're there, come say hi. You may not find me, but you should try to find me. I'll be around in some capacity. You guys can go ahead and check that on out. It'll be on Flow Grappling, so that'll be a lot of fun. Additionally, if you guys want to get the merch, Grappling Hour merch right here, go on over to rafasparza.com/merch or grapplinghour.com. Pick yourself up a t-shirt, $25, or a hoodie for $45, and a combination of the two is at $60. Doing that supports the show, which, by the way, supports me and allows me to get some of this fancy stuff that you see that makes the show. So there's that. Additional little notes here. If you like what we do, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us who you would pick first in the draft. I think it's time we get there because you're going to see the gentlemen on this show start to pick who they're picking very soon. So that's going to happen next week, and I think we can use all the help that we can get. Additionally, if you like the show and you really, really want to support us, go on over to patreon.com/grappling hour. You can see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. When you see those interviews, it's great. It helps us. Again, can't say enough good things about it. But additionally, there's a little extra bonus thing that we got going on. For a few extra bucks, you can see all of our bonus content, not available anywhere else, including tape studies with the athletes, Roast Draft, a segment where people roast my competition footage, and much, much more. And finally, you guys can find us on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. You know, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on Discord at Grappling Hour. So that's what I got for you guys. That's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen, the spinoff of the Grappling Hour and our coverage of all things PGF Season 6. Guys, it has been another great episode. We can't thank you enough for being here. It has been a great day for grappling. We will... Hold on. Somebody is disrupting this program. Somebody is trying to call me right now. I'm going to have to tell this person I will take this call in just a second, and we'll be there. Hey, as I get to the sign-off, it has been a great day for grappling. We will see you back on the mat.